Hi class, welcome again to another session on rehabilitation engineering. So we have been discussing strength training. So the next topic that we are going to discuss in strength training is concentric muscle work. Now concentric contraction of muscle occurs when the muscle becomes thick and short, right? For example, this often happens during a joint movement, right? So the muscle is decreasing in size. The muscle has got a certain surface area or volume. So if it elongates, then the muscle becomes thinner. However, if it contracts, if it becomes thicker and shorter, then that will pull the attachments together. Right, muscles are attached on both ends to the tendons or the ligaments or the bone. Right, they have a point of insertion for both the head and the tail. So when muscles shorten, the point of insertion are like drawn together, and that would result in a joint movement. So flexion of the knee is an example. When you try to fold your knee, right, the muscle involved shortens and thickens in size, and then it would bring the points of insertion closer to each other, and that would result in joint movement. A patient performing concentric muscle work would be asked to overcome a certain force. Now that force can be friction, it can be against the gravity, or it can be manual manual pressure that is exerted by the physiotherapist, and that will result in building of the muscle. If you want to give an example, suppose you have your leg extended, and your task is to fold your knee, fold your leg into flexion, fold your knee into flexion. So you would be trying to flex your knee. However, the physiotherapist would have his or her hand or either on your heel or on your calf muscle and resist your movement or flexion. So that would result in concentric muscle work. So you are trying to push against the force that is exerted by your therapist, and that would ultimately result in building of the muscle. So a very good example of concentric muscle work is weightlifting, right? So you are trying to lift the weight against the gravity, and that would result in a really good workout of your muscle. Now again, you have the intensity and velocity training as well. So intensity is like how hard your workout is, like the overload level, like how much weight a person can actually lift, or you know what is the threshold point beyond which the person would give up, or person might injure themselves. So the overload level for each and every individual is different, because the strength of each and every individual is different, right? So for example, if you see, like, I can swim, maybe I can swim better than someone who's just started to swim, but I can't compete with professional swimmers like, say, Missy Franklin or Michael Phelps, right? I would probably embarrass myself. So because they're so used to swimming, they're so used to being in the water. I'm used to being in the water, but I'm not strong enough as them. So if there is an intensity training, so if I go to the gym and I try to mimic what these professional swimmers do, then I'd probably end up injuring myself. So they have a certain threshold level, and I have a certain threshold level. Similarly, if you have a patient group, each and every individual. Now I think all of us agree that disability is very individualized, right? Each and every person's disability differs from the other. So while you have the disability, the level of disability, if it is different, then the strength, the threshold point for each and every individual is also going to be different. Now what happens is you have to customize the threshold based on the person's ability. So you have to find out what is the maximum load a particular patient can lift, and give 40% of that maximum load as a threshold for isometric contraction. Now how are we going to find out exactly what is the maximum load a person can lift? That's why you have to use trial and error, or sometimes your experience. Right? There's no book that says that XYZ can lift maximum this amount of weight. That's just not possible. It's something that you learn through experience, or it's not something that you have to learn through trial and error. So each and every individual, you have to first of all work out exactly what is the maximum load the person can lift, and then 40% of that value should be your threshold for isometric contraction. Now velocity is a very funny thing. what they're trying to say is the faster you try to do a workout, the lower the force output of the muscle is. Like if you're trying to work out really fast during concentric contraction, you're trying to work out really fast, the force output of the muscle is less. Therefore, if you are rehabilitating a weak muscle, you have to make sure that the velocity of the exercise, the velocity with which the repetitions of the particular exercise is performed, should be very, very low, and that would result in increase in strength, right? So as the muscle gets stronger, maybe you can increase the velocity and make sure that the person is like working out okay, and the muscle is able to withstand the stress, right? If you want to do some stress testing of the muscle, then maybe you can slowly increase the velocity and see if the muscle is able to sustain once it has gained sufficient strength. However, if it is a very, very weak and flaccid muscle, you have to make sure that your first and foremost aim should be increase in strength, and that should be done by making them work out at a very, very low pace. I hope you had a fruitful session learning about these kind of strength training with me. I shall see you again with more on strength training. I hope you take care till then.